Health should really support your life, but health doesn't, it shouldn't become your life. If it creates additional stress for you, then sometimes we need to reevaluate, um, because it shouldn't be creating any additional stress on top of probably our already stressful, busy lives. Welcome back to PCOS Unfiltered, where we have real conversations about health, hormones, nutrition, mindset, and the everyday habits that help you feel your best. I'm your host, Lindsie, nurse, body wisdom guide, health and nutrition coach, author of Healing Beyond the Diagnosis, and someone who believes that health shouldn't feel like another full-time job. If you've ever felt like you're juggling work, family, appointments, summer activities, and everything else life throws your way, while still trying to eat well, move your body, and take care of yourself, this episode is for you. Today, we're talking about 10 practical summer health hacks to help you save time, reduce stress, and create a little more breathing room in your day, because the goal isn't to spend all summer managing your health. The goal is to have the energy to enjoy it. And if you're listening thinking, I need all the help I can get, I've put a free resource together for you that's called the Summer Sanity Guide. It's packed with simple time-saving tips, easy meal ideas, and practical strategies to help you stay nourished and organized without spending your entire summer in the kitchen or worrying about how to stay on track. You can grab it through the link in the show notes. As always, this podcast is intended for educational and informational purposes only and should not be considered medical advice. Please consult with your healthcare provider before making any changes to your diet, exercise, or treatment plan. Now let's dive in. Hello, everyone, and welcome. As I kind of alluded to in the opening, I think we need to think about summer. It's officially here. And I feel like this comes up every year because life changes during the summer. If you do have kids, it's a whole different schedule, right? There's also probably more cookouts, more get-togethers, just more things to do because the weather's nicer, of course, more going on. So let's be honest, it should feel relaxing, I would think, but I think for a lot of women, it's actually more chaotic. So, we're constantly running from one activity to the next. There's vacations as well, which we're going to talk about. But, suddenly all those healthy routines, everything that felt manageable, like you were in some type of groove, for maybe the last few months, is probably starting to fall apart. And what I've learned, both in my own life and my own journey, and also with working with so many women over the years, is that staying healthy doesn't always require more time. And in fact, it can just stress you out more. So it should require fewer decisions. So today I wanted to share 10 practical summer kind of health hacks, tips that can save you time, reduce the stress, and help you just feel your best without feeling like your health is another full-time job. Because at the end of the day, I don't think, most women are looking for the perfect meal plan or the perfect workout routine, because if you've tried a lot of things, you probably know that's just not realistic anymore. But I think what we're looking for probably is more energy, just feeling good, and just being able to enjoy quality time with the people that you love, So I want health, to be able to support your life, and not take it over. And I hope that you would agree with that. So let's kind of just get started. So hack number one, feel free to jot down some notes. This is a great one. If you want to leave me some questions later, that's always awesome too. I love hearing from anyone and everyone. So hack number one, start with protein. This is pretty simple. So instead of asking yourself what's for dinner, start asking what protein are we having? I think there's there's a lot of talk about protein out there. So maybe you have or have not heard, that's probably one of the most important things you can be doing for your body, supporting muscle growth, metabolism, um, helping with weight loss as well when you're prioritizing protein. So when you kind of reframe it like that, it eliminates that decision fatigue. And when you think about, okay, what's the protein? Everything else kind of just seems to become easier. So this does not have to be a complicated protein either. It could be a rotisserie chicken. It could be burgers on the grill. It could be some ground turkey or ground beef with, some seasonings in it. Maybe it's eggs, maybe it's salmon. And then once you've answered that question, you can, make the rest of the meal around that. And it tends to kind of fall into place. So then we're looking at, of course, a vegetable, a fruit, a starch if you want one. And then before you know it, it's done. But one of the biggest mistakes that I see women making is trying to create, fancy meals every night when you're already feeling exhausted. And then what happens, because you're exhausted and you're like, I'm done, I can't do this, then you grab something convenient. And I think we all know that that's usually not convenient for our health. So, you don't get any extra points by making this harder. So again, hack number 1, focus on protein first and start asking, instead of what's for dinner, ask what protein are we going to have, and then build the rest of the meal around that, and keep that simple. Hack number 2 is to create a grab and go fridge. So this is one that I use with my clients as well. So make those healthy choices visible. Whatever's right in eyesight is going to be the easiest to grab and go, and more of what we intend to eat. So create that one shelf in your refrigerator and or in your pantry, right? Because that's another place, like when we're hungry or, in a hurry, we can still go to the pantry as well. So keep that in your pantry, that eye level, with just some good, options. So if we're focusing on the fridge, we can, have a shelf with, maybe some hard-boiled eggs. Your Greek yogurt can live there. Some cut up fruit, cut up, prepared veggies, maybe some cheese sticks, maybe some leftover protein from the night before, and in the pantry, you can do like even some meat sticks, that type of thing. So just something easy, because that's the reality. Even if it isn't summer, I think this is still a great one, because if it's right there in front of you, you're more likely to grab that stuff. And just when life gets busy, you're rushing out the door, these are the foods that save you from skipping meals or grabbing, the convenient stuff. So hack number 3, double everything. I've done this quite a bit lately for some reason. I don't always do it, but recently I feel like I have. And this one has saved me a number of hours. And I'm not preparing food for a whole bunch of people. It's just me and my husband, but it still saves me, because then I can still freeze stuff as well. So whenever you're cooking, just make more. So whether you do need to double it, or 1.5 times, like whatever, if you're good at eyeballing stuff, just make more. So if it's taco meat, another simple meal, double it. Grilled chicken, that's easy to, instead of taking out a pack of like 2 or 3 chicken breasts, just double that, double the burgers. This time difference can make, a big difference in your life, when those like couple servings turn into 4, or 4 servings turn into 8, if you're, maybe feeding a family. It can mean tomorrow's lunch is already done. It could mean, the salad a couple days from now is done, because you already have the protein for that. Maybe even breakfast, you don't always, I've talked about this before on an episode, you don't have to have traditional foods for breakfast. So, hey, make it to have, and you can have it for breakfast as well. And then, healthy eating just becomes so much easier when you've already done some of the work. And then, like I mentioned too, the other thing, if you have a vacation coming up as well, especially, this is great because I do travel quite a bit with my husband. So this is one of the things I do is I make extra and then I freeze it so that when we get back, it's there. I'm able to take it out, let it thaw, and then we have meals and I'm not having to stress, because we've been gone for a week or whatever and we have nothing in the fridge and what are we going to eat. Um, so yes, there's a few ways you can approach that one. Hack number 4 is to keep 3 emergency meals ready. So real life, right? There's going to be days when things don't go according to plan. I think we probably know that by now. Maybe a child gets sick, you run late at work, you forgot to thaw something. Life just happens, and that's why every household needs emergency meals. And these are the meals that require almost no thought. So for us, we do a meal delivery, or I mean, not a meal, a meat delivery service. And so we always have meat in the freezer. So whether you're doing that or just buying it at the store, you can still keep some meat in the freezer. And you can thaw those pretty quickly just with some hot water a lot of the times. So that could mean those chicken breasts, that could mean, taco bowls. Again, picking up a rotisserie chicken and making something out of that to keep on hand. Smoothies are another good one. If you have all the ingredients for a smoothie, that can be that emergency type meal. So the goal here, even with all of this, is not perfection. It's more so preventing you from hitting the drive-through or just grabbing, something convenient that I want you to have other options in this case, and really in all of these in all of these hacks. Number 5, use your slow cooker. So I live in Florida, and I think a lot of the times I only think of using the slow cooker more in the colder months, even though our colder months aren't super cold. But still, I think a lot of us think it's probably more for like fall and winter time, right? But you can still do a lot with your slow cooker in the summer. And I feel like they don't get enough credit anymore. This, oh my gosh, this keeps things so super simple. I love cooking, but I don't like the complicated things. I like the end product, but I like to keep it simple. I don't like a whole lot of ingredients. So in this case, with a slow cooker, you can throw everything in, let your slow cooker do the work. Chicken with some maybe salsa and taco seasoning. Come back 6 hours later, keep it on low. Dinner is done. You might need to shred the chicken probably, and that's about it. And then with that, you can make bowls, wraps, salads. You have lunches done. You can make it for dinner. If you are using ground beef, then yes, you would need to cook that in advance, but that still wouldn't be, too terrible an extra step. And then you just put that in the slow cooker. So one, simple meal can end up creating several meals throughout the week. And I think that's a great, a great option for summer. Less work and just more simplicity. Hack number 6, hydrate before you caffeinate. So I've talked about this on other things. I've done workshops on this. Hydration, right? So ideally, sure, like there's all these things out there, half your body weight in ounces. And then I think, though, in general, at least 6 to 8 glasses, so 8-ounce glasses of water a day should be able to kind of keep you hydrated. But that changes in the summer because you're naturally going to be losing water, when you're outside, if you're outside for any period of time, really. So drink that water before you grab the coffee. Some of you might have rolled your eyes on that, but hear me out. We wake up slightly dehydrated. And then when we immediately reach for caffeine, what does that do? That can dehydrate us more. And sometimes what feels like, hunger, if you're hungry first thing in the morning, or if you're like, oh, I'm still tired, maybe you are even starting to crave things in the morning or throughout the day, the brain fog, a lot of that can actually be dehydration. So I would encourage you to try drinking at least like 16 to 20 ounces of water before you reach for your cup of coffee. If that's a lot for you, if you are not a huge water drinker, then I would say commit to like 8 ounces in the morning to start, and then work your way up to that 16-ounce mark. But it's one small habit that I know would have a big impact on your energy if that's something you're working on or struggling with. And again, yeah, this, like, I can't stress this enough. This is one of those hunger signals. Again, I've talked about it in workshops, I've talked about it in previous episodes, and just that thirst can often be mistaken for hunger. So setting yourself up in that way can have a lasting impact throughout the day. On to number 7, lower your standards. Now, this one is kind of different for me, but it's also in a different sense, I guess. Because when I work with my clients in my program, we talk about raising your standards around food. But when I'm talking here, lowering your standards, I'm talking about doing this in the healthiest way possible. So somewhere along the line, social media convinced us that every meal should look beautiful. Like, there's so much out there, right? We have to take pictures of our food, or at least the influencers do, before we eat sometimes. It looks perfectly plated, whether it is homemade or at a restaurant. It's photogenic. Real life doesn't look like that. So sometimes dinner is a turkey roll-up. Sometimes dinner is breakfast. Sometimes it's, a simple protein, like I talked about, with just some strawberries and carrot sticks. And sometimes you have leftovers for lunch. Sometimes you have a protein smoothie for breakfast or lunch, because that's what fits into your day. So don't be scared of that. That's okay. The healthiest meal is often the one that you'll actually eat. And again, it does not have to be overcomplicated. Moving on to hack number 8, movement. Yes, schedule some movement. So summer, I feel like can have its way of making exercise almost feel optional, maybe because in like the fall and winter, we're kind of cooped up a little bit more, and so we're trying to get out of the house. But sure, we might be a little bit more active at times throughout the summer, but you still need to be more intentional, with your movement. And if we often wait, until we feel like, we need to have the time, then we just never seem to find it. So, schedule movement anywhere in there and throughout your day. Make it an appointment on your calendar. So this could be a morning walk, and it does not have to be. I've gotten in this mindset sometimes where I think like, oh, if it's not 3 miles, it doesn't count. So, make it a 10-minute walk before you take your shower, and then drink your extra water, of course, after that too. Maybe it's a family walk after dinner. It could be, a little strength training, of course, some yoga. It could be squats while you're brushing your teeth. If your kids are in camps and maybe you're waiting to pick them up, or if they're doing other activities throughout the summer, and you're waiting on them, or maybe that's your time, then maybe that's your time to schedule movement in there as well. Or if you're waiting for them and you can walk around a field or the parking lot or something like that, then do that. Just something to move your body. And I think if you start incorporating that in your life, in your daily routine, it can be so beneficial. It does not have to be extreme. Of course, I want to stress that. It's just that consistency beats the intensity, basically, like every time. So being intentional about that movement. Hack number 9, create a not to-do list. So a lot of us create to-do lists. I love mine are more reminder lists, I guess, but I do like crossing those off as I finish things. But I want you to create a not to-do list. So think about this. What are the things that steal your energy? overcommitting, people pleasing, scrolling social media for an hour. I can tell you about something recently. So my husband and I, we had a weekend planned with some friends, and we were the one night we were going to do like a charcuterie board, and so I went out and bought everything for that, and was prepping some of that stuff. I made dinner another night. So one of those nights, our friends canceled, and I won't go into every detail, but they canceled it, and it wasn't an emergency. And then it happened again a few days later with somebody else that we had plans with. So it really woke me up to the fact that, when we are committing to things, so if you're the host, just understanding that it's not just that evening or those few hours that you're spending with that person. You have to think of the energy and time that you're putting into prepping maybe for that person as well, or for those people that are coming over or whatever you're doing. And then, of course, if we are the guest, just being respectful of that, and maybe not giving them a definite answer if you don't know for sure if you're going to make it, because you kind of know how your energy is, and what else you have scheduled that week, and you think that might be too much. Then maybe they need a maybe answer until a couple days before, instead of trying to plan too far out. So don't be scared to create those boundaries, because there's like summer, there's a lot going on, again, like I said in the beginning. So don't be scared of that, and create that not to-do list. And sometimes the fastest way to actually create more time is to stop doing the things that aren't serving you. So I want you to kind of really, really think about that one. This is probably my favorite one right now for the 10 hacks. So that was number 9, and we are going to move on to the last one, hack number 10. Remember why this matters. So as we wrap up, I want to leave you with one final thought. Most women don't come to me because they want perfect results. They don't want the perfect body. They don't want, perfect lab results even. They don't want the picture perfect health. They also don't want to eat chicken and broccoli forever. Totally get that. But what they do want is energy and, freedom, food freedom, even confidence. They want to enjoy their vacations without stressing about what they can and can't eat. They want to play with their kids, not just sit and watch their kids. They want to travel. Thinking even long term, they want to be able to run around with their grandkids someday. They just want to be present for the people they love, so they can really truly enjoy those moments with the people they love. And I think that's what health comes down to. So it's not perfection, not obsession, not spending every waking moment thinking about food, supplements, exercise, this program, that diet, whatever it should be. Health should really support your life. Our health is important. It's the one thing, this is the one body we get, right? This is the one thing that we do have to take care of ultimately, before we can take care of others. But health it shouldn't become your life. If it creates additional stress for you, then sometimes we need to reevaluate, because it shouldn't be creating any additional stress on top of probably our already stressful, busy lives. So that is all that I have for you right now. Be sure to check the link in the show notes, because I do have a summer sanity guide that also gives you some of these tips, but just a quick guide on some time-saving tips, as well as some recipes for you. So be sure to check the show notes for that. And otherwise, I'll see you next time. So my challenge for you this week is simple. Don't try to implement all 10 of these. Pick one, just one, and ask yourself, what's the one thing I can do today that will make life easier tomorrow? Maybe it's prepping some protein, maybe it's filling a water bottle, maybe it's taking a walk, maybe it's creating your own not to-do list. So start there. Small things done consistently have a way of creating big changes over time. And if you'd like a little extra support, don't forget to download my free Summer Sanity Guide. Inside, you'll find quick meal ideas, simple planning strategies, and practical tips to help you save time, reduce stress, and make healthy choices easier all summer long. You can find the link for it in the show notes. If you enjoyed today's episode, take a screenshot, share it on social media, and tag me, and tell us which summer health hack you're going to try first. And in the meantime, I'm sending you so much love, and I'll see you on the next episode of PCOS Unfiltered. Nourish, Heal, Thrive.